right, so good morning, everybody. Happy Saturday. My thought for you today is on this lovely blending of the idea of surrender and giving up. So earlier in the week, I was been watching the Olympics. So if you were in class earlier in the week, you heard me talk about this, but that there's a lot of very interesting stories that you hear, from the athletes and about the athletes during the Olympics, and not necessarily just about what they're doing in their competitions, but what their experience has been in their training and in their lives and all of that. So I was talking a lot about how, we have the ability to, we are the only ones who have the ability to decide the meaning of our experience, right? Because that's what you hear in those stories so much, is that it's their personal journeys that make the moment that they're in, whether they win the medals that they want to win, or I was talking about Simone Biles, the female gymnast who actually stepped out of the team competition and the individual all-around competition. She stepped out of competition because she was not in a place mentally and physically to compete. And that's been getting her a lot of, I don't think as much as maybe was expected, but some backlash, right? That she somehow gave up, right, on what she was supposed to do. And my thought with that is that we are the only ones from inside who are able to decide what the meaning of our experience is, what the meaning of our existence is. And that, in fact, because you are the only one who can do it, is that it's incredibly necessary that you actually do it, right? Because there is no one else from the outside who can understand your motivations, who can understand your heart, who can understand why you do what you do and why you are how and what you are, right? So that's number one, is that we are the only ones who can experience the truth of this soul, the truth of this existence. Number two is that this concept of giving up is a really powerful one. And we tend not to use words like that in yoga. We tend to say things like surrender because it sounds much prettier. And it sounds like we're doing something that still feels very inviting. And it's true, right? Surrender is a beautiful concept because it means that we're moving into something bigger. When we just say giving up, is we have a lot of connotation that somehow that means we failed, or that somehow it means we weren't enough, or that somehow it means whatever it is we think that it means. But the two things are really tied to each other, right? You can consider them two parts of a wave or two sides of the same experience. Because if you consider, right, whenever you have something you are attached to, and you can imagine this if you're trying to, clean out your living space or get rid of things that you've been, holding on to, is that we can let go of things in that surrender sort of way and imagine what is going to continue for that object, right? So I'm using the example if you're giving something away. And so we can imagine, right, that it's going to go to this person, or it's going to have this, continued experience. And so in our minds, the attachment still lives, right? This is the challenge, I think, with surrender, is that often we hang on to the attachment of what was, right? Because we're feeling the way that we're moving from one thing to another, but we're not fully releasing, we're not fully letting go. So in that same moment, right, you can say, I'm giving up on this thing. I'm giving up on this object. I'm giving up on this thought pattern. Right? So suddenly there's this disconnect of what energy we were pouring into it now comes back, it's free again, right? So that concept of giving up is one that the Buddhists would say, is you could say it's abandoning the hope of fruition. That's how it's put in many of the teachings. It's actually one of their slogans. So this concept, right, that you can abandon or let go, really drop the energy that you have been using as your side of the attachment, right? The energy you've been feeding into an object or a situation or a pattern in your life. That by giving up, not just surrendering, but giving up, doesn't matter what's on the other side, let go. And in that painful moment of really letting go, we become free in a way that maybe we don't quite get to when we're in that feeling of I'm surrendering slowly. I'm slowly loosening my grip, but I might not ever really release my grip. And when we get that feeling of I never quite release my grip, is we don't fully become free, right? We don't fully actually experience who we are because we're still pouring so much of ourselves into those attachments, right? So the thought is that in order to really access, really know who and what you are, yoga says is we have to look at those attachments, and we have to look at them not just in the nice way, right? Of how can I surrender into something bigger? But if you want to really embrace what is bigger, you have to give up on what you're stuck with or what you're stuck on, right? So giving up is being a powerful place. I can actually drop the energy that I'm forcing into or feeding into what I wish to be free of. So comfortable seat, let your eyes close. Maybe that was a bit rambly, but let yourself come into a feeling that right where you are, you can feel your attachments. We don't often say this, right? We say feel the bigness, but I want you to feel your attachments, the positive ones and the negative ones. To feel all the things that you really are invested in. Your job, your house, your family, partners, children, the things that you love, the things that you believe you cannot live without or you don't want to live without. And feel also where there is a big, vast space all around you. So there's that feeling of attachment inside, but there's also this awareness of the world that is bigger than those attachments. And then can you just feel yourself getting soft? So as your awareness broadens, those attachments are there, but they become part of this much bigger tapestry. You are the only one who is able to feel, the only one who is able to experience those spaces that are in between. No one else can tell it to you. No one else can give it to you. So everything that you hope and that you dream and that you fear, all of those together, give up. Just agree for yourself that for a moment you are going to give up that any of those things have the ability to make you happy or unhappy. And give up, stop the thought that the things that do associate your mind with happiness or unhappiness, that they're going to stay the way that they are. Give up. And you don't have to know what's on the other side of that giving up. That's what surrender really is we don't know. It's not a continuing story of this is how I hope that it goes. This is how I imagine it will go. This is my imagination of unconditional love and peace and openness. Give that up. And leave yourself in that place where maybe there's an emptiness, but in the emptiness, there is a completion. Exactly as you are, you have the capacity to be at peace. You have the capacity to be happy. You have the capacity to be free. And you don't need any of the things. None of it that you feel attached to. And if none of that makes any sense, take one more deep breath just to let the mind settle. And then hands to heart center. We'll open with the sound of Om. Deep breath in. And let the eyes float open. Nice, you guys. You can release the hands, please. Then come forward to hands and knees. Come into child's pose. Knees nice and wide. Big toes together to touch. Good. It's actually one of my favorite of the Buddhist teachings that say to abandon the hope of fruition. It means that we are asked to let go of the idea, the concept that at some future time we are going to be more happy or more successful or feel the way that we want to feel that we don't currently feel. They say, stop doing that. They stop that feeling that you are going to look elsewhere for what you believe is your happiness, and stop believing that if you just keep hanging on to what you have, you just keep going in the direction that you're going, that it will eventually turn out the way you want it to. Walk to your right, please, over that right thigh. I love the starkness of the language. Abandon all hope. It doesn't say, surrender gracefully or whatever. It says, just drop it. Just stop. And as soon as you stop, you have no idea. That might feel terrible to stop. But on the other side of that is real freedom. As long as we have the attachment in our mind that we somehow are gaining something from being stuck, is we will continue to be stuck. Come back to center, walk to your left. Right? Because it's not the things in our lives that are painful, it's our attachment to them. And the more we love something and the more we fear something, it doesn't matter which one, right? Two opposite ends of a spectrum. The more we love something in that attached way, or the more we are afraid of something in that attached way, the more we are bound to it, the more painful it becomes. It might also be wrapped up in sensations that we like, but in the end, it's painful. Because if we lose those things or we end up too close to those things, then we say, oh, my happiness is ruined. Walk yourself back to center. And that's the trap, right? So only you are able to determine what is underneath that for you. You're the only one who's able to feel the experience of what is beyond that kind of association in the world. You have to be willing to abandon what you have if you want to experience the fullness of what is there. Walk yourself all the way back up to hands and knees, please. Just stretch your right leg back behind you, toes tucked on the floor. Good. Drop that heel to flat. Please take your right arm up to the sky. Good. So you're pressing through the baby toe of that right foot. Slide the right arm over your ear, reaching towards the top of your mat. Good. And then bend the elbow like you're going to bring that elbow down towards your side ribs. So not hand behind your head, but actually bending the elbow and pulling it down, almost like you're taking that arm into a cactus arm. Good. So drag it down, but keep the chest open, Mark. Good. There you go. Yep. Pull it down and open the chest even more, drawing the wrist back, drawing the shoulder back. Nice. Now stretch the arm over the ear again, arcing through the side ribs. So really reach that right rib cage up towards the ceiling. You got it. Nice, Virginia. Good, Harriet. Nice, Marla. And then release, please. Taking that hand back down to the floor. Spin your right heel up. Step back to plank pose. Both feet step back. Good. Squeezing the hands and feet towards each other. Look back towards your belly button. So round into your back rib cage just a little bit, but keep your hips dropping low. Good. You got it. Yep. One more breath. Just pulling everything in and up. Beautiful. Now keep that lift of your side ribs and take your throat forward and up, collarbones forward and up. Extend. Press out through your heels. Nice. And then drop the knees down to the floor. Keep your butt nice and high. Slide your chest forward between the thumbs, then drop the chest down to the floor. Good. So knees, chest, and chin. Lift the chin slightly so it's like you're looking forward. Good. Press down into the knees. Pull forward with the knees and back with your hands. So you have that real, everything pulling up through the groins, up through the hips. Good. So squeeze in. Yeah. And then pull forward all the way onto your belly, please, pointing the toes back behind you. Rise up, little baby cobra. So not a big one to begin, but lift up cobra. Good. And then exhale, release all the way back down. Come up on your fingertips. You can widen your hands a little bit if you'd like. Good. And then again, as you press into your fingertips, I want you to feel like you are actually pushing your upper arms wide. So we often say squeeze the elbows in, but I want you to push your upper arms wide first. And then from your shoulder blades, I want you to feel this hugging in. So the armpits push wide. So the upper arms push wide, but your armpits pull in. Good. And then rise up cobra again, lifting head, neck, and chest. Try not to push your hips forward into the floor. Try and keep this sensation of pulling long instead of lifting up. Good. And then slowly release. Nice job, you guys. Plant the hands, come all the way back to hands and knees. Good. And then take the left leg back behind you, toes tucked on the floor. Drop the heel flat and take the left arm up to the sky. Good. Feeling the press of the baby toe into the floor. So again, you have that action through the outer leg. Almost imagining that that back leg is what it would be doing in Warrior Two. So I want it to be that steady, that strong. Good. And then take the left arm over the ear, reaching all the way over. So again, long stretch of the side body. Good. And then start to bend that elbow like it's coming into cactus arms. So bending the elbow towards the armpit or down towards your side ribs. Good. And then open the chest a little more, maybe slide that wrist back a little bit more. So it's rotating the wrist back and the elbow forward. Good. And then take the arm all the way straight over the ear again, reaching up through that left rib cage. So actually rounding through your middle ribs, rounding through your side ribs. Awesome. Good. And then release that hand all the way back down to the floor. Please, again, spin the left heel up, step back plank pose. So right foot steps back to meet the left. Good. Squeeze the feet and the hands towards each other. Look back towards your belly button. Pull your low ribs in and up. And then send your inner thighs in and up. Good. So instead of the feeling that the tail is tucking under, you want the sit bones to lift up and wide. There you go. Now start to lift your collarbones forward again. Lift the back of your throat. Good. Keeping the navel and that low rib cage engaged. So you have this feeling of hugging all of the muscles around the spine, from the front of the body and the back of the body, hugging the spine. Good. One more breath. Press through the crown of your head. Press back through your tail, back through your heels. Good. And then drop the knees to the floor, please. Keep your butt nice and high. Slide your chest forward again. Drop it down between the thumbs, knees, chest, and chin. Lift the chin slightly. So you're like a little inchworm on the floor. Butt lifted high. So you're actually squeezing the knees forward, drawing your low rib cage in. So the front of your chest is on the floor, but your low ribs are trying to pull up. Good. One more breath. Really squeeze. Awesome. And then slide all the way forward onto your belly, please. Rise up, Cobra, lifting up head, neck, and chest. Again, paying attention that you're using those muscles around the armpits, not just your arms. Good. And then release back to your belly, please. Good. Keep your left hand where it is. Extend your right arm forward in front of you. So you're doing like a one-armed Cobra. So left hand stays where it is. Right arm extends. Good. So as you rise up, you're going to press into that left hand, left arm, left shoulder, and lift the right arm up alongside your ear. So come into Cobra, one arm, right arm lifts alongside your ear. Good. Now you really know how much you're using your back. And then release back down. Switch the hands. Right hand plants. Left arm comes forward. Good. Remember, you're widening the upper arm and squeezing that armpit area. Rise up, Cobra, left arm alongside your ear. Good. And then release back down. Switch the left hand plants, right arm forward again. Rise up, Cobra. Good. Release back down. Right hand plants, left arm forward. Rise up, Cobra. Use your legs. So really press down through your feet here and feel like you are pulling forward through the thighs. Good. Release. Left hand plants, right arm forward, Cobra. Last time each side. Good. Rise up. Good. And then release. Right hand plants, left arm forward. Rise up, Cobra. Nice. And then release, please. Good. Plant both hands. Press back up to hands and knees. Hips stay on top of the knees. Walk your hands forward like you're in a modified downward facing dog. Good. Pressing into the hands, feeling the armpits lift. Nice. And a softening behind the heart. So the low ribs draw in. Good. Feel the shoulders drawing up towards the hips. Awesome, you guys. And then come all the way back up to hands and knees, please. Tuck the toes, lift your hips, come into a full downward facing dog. Beautiful. Good. And then take the right leg up and back behind you, down dog split, breathing up through that leg. So it's not just a flinging the leg into the air, but it's a breathing up. And then step the right foot between the hands, lunge. Back heel comes flat, baby toe parallels back of your mat. Warrior two. So take the shoulders over your hips, arms wide. Good. And slide the left hand down the back leg. Turn your right palm up, reverse warrior. So reaching through the right side body. Good. Letting that right thigh really drop into the lunge. Awesome. And then still reaching to the back of your mat, straighten the right thigh. So coming into like a reverse triangle pose, squeeze the legs towards each other. Good. And then come all the way back up to center, please. Taking both arms up alongside your ears. So reach both arms up. Interlace your fingers, press the heels of the hands up towards the sky. Good. So you're in a standing up straight with your arms up alongside your ears. There you go. Squeeze your legs towards each other and then start to extend your rib cage forward like you're coming into triangle, but keep your hands in this position. So keep extending out through the heels of the hands. Good. Keep your ribs twisting open. So left rib cage is stacking, navel to spine. This might mean that you only come forward like a half an inch, right? But I want you to really do it with this sense of opening the left rib cage, opening the left side body. Good. Squeezing the feet towards each other. Nice. Bend that right knee, please. Let the right forearm come onto the right thigh. Left arm stays over the ear, side angle. Good. Keep drawing your low rib cage back and in. So almost round into your back body again. Good. And then stack that left hip open just a little bit more. So focus on that openness of the back thigh. Awesome. And then come all the way back up, warrior two. Good. Straighten the front thigh again. Stretch the arms back up alongside the ears. Good. With the left hand, hold your right wrist, lean to the back of your mat. So again, with a little assistance there, a little extra energy. Good. And then bend the right knee again. So you're coming into that reverse warrior, still leaning to the back of your mat. Bend your right knee. Good. And as you move to pose, is there a sense of continuity that each pose is helping to create the experience of the next one? But if you don't let go of the one that you just did, you can't be where you are. Come all the way back up, arms wide, warrior two. Good. Cartwheel the hands down to the floor, please. Nice. Both hands inside the front foot. Walk to your left, come to the center of your mat. Turn your toes. So you come to Prasarita Padottanasana. Good. And walk your hands forward just a little bit more. So it's like you're in a wide-legged down dog. You let your weight move forward towards the balls of your feet. So when you come into that position, you have to move your weight forward so that there's more availability for you to actually feel like you are lifting your hips up and back. Good. Nice. Then right hand stays centered right underneath you. Take your left hand reaching for your right ankle. So right hand stays where it is. Left hand reaches for right ankle. Good. Nice if you can keep that right arm extended nice and long in front of you. So again, for support, if it needs to come back under the shoulder, that's fine, but keep it as far extended as is possible. Good. And then release back to center, please. Both hands find the floor. And then go the other way. Left hand holds you. Right hand reaches for left ankle or shin. Good. And again, you're keeping your ribs connected, so drawing in and up so that the twist is really happening through those muscles of the back. It's not a feeling of just collapsing in the middle spine. Good. And then bring it all the way back to center, please. Both hands find the floor. Nice. Walk your hands all the way back in. And then bring your hands up to your hips. Come all the way up to stand. Turn your right toes back towards the top of your mat. Good. Stretch your arms out wide, letter T. Good. So Mark, just turn the other way, right toes towards the front of your mat. There you go. And then extend out into triangle pose. So right rib cage extends forward. Good. Let the hand touch down to the front leg, floor, or block. Left arm reaches towards the sky. Trikonasana. Again, have this thought that you are continuing to actually open through your left hip. So that hip is continuing to stack. Good. Left rib cage continuing to open. Good. So Virginia, triangle pose. So both legs straight. You're in a side angle pose there. Both are good. Nice. The idea that you can abandon something that you would think would be your dream, something you've worked so hard for, and then you get to it and you're like, oh, maybe this isn't what I thought it was. Maybe this isn't going to be the key to my enlightenment, the key to my happiness. Right? The teachings tell us that every single thing that you are sure is the key to your happiness. They say, let it go, because just the thought that that thing can be the key to your happiness, something that's outside of you, that's an attachment. And sooner or later, it's going to become a source of pain. Bend the right knee, please. Release the hands down to the floor. Good. Spin the back heel up, step back, downward facing dog. And what I like in this teaching is that it doesn't say that you have to give everything up and be miserable and have nothing. It says by giving up the attachment, you can enjoy everything. You can enjoy it properly. You can enjoy it for what it is, with a feeling of freedom, that it's allowed to change. You're allowed to change. Come forward to plank pose, upward push up. Squeeze the feet towards each other, legs together. Slide onto your, or turn onto your baby toe of your right foot, please. Vasisthasana. Right hand holds you, left arm to the sky. Good. Really pulling up through that right armpit, pushing your hips up towards the sky. Nice. Now step your top leg back behind you, toes to the floor, knee bent. Good. So now you can lift open through the pelvis even more. Open the chest towards the sky. Open the ribs. Nice, Laura. Nice, Marla. Awesome, you guys. Then bend that left elbow again into that cactus arm, like you're clawing back, pulling back, open chest. Really beautiful. Nice, Mark. Good. And then release, please, all the way back down to downward facing dog. Slide forward to plank. Good. Lower down slow, coming through knees if you need. Rise up, Cobra, remembering that you are trying to feel those muscles of the upper back. So that should happen first. And then there's the engagement through the arms. Rise up, Cobra. Good. And then come back, please, downward facing dog. Good. Come forward to plank pose, upward push up. Thighs together, feet together, Vasisthasana, second side. Roll onto the baby toe of your left foot. Left hand holds you, right arm to the sky. So it's that same feeling as in plank, right? Yes, you're pushing through that left wrist, but if you don't pull up through your side ribs, this pose is going to feel like it's a ton of work just on your arm, just on your wrist. So get that feeling of squeezing through your left armpit to pull up. Lift through the hips, the inner thighs. Good. Step your top foot back behind you, toes find the floor, knee bent. And now start to open. So rely on that back foot. Actually step into it as your hips open. Careful of that blanket behind you, Mark. Good. Chest open. And then bend that right elbow, bring it down and in like you're coming into cactus arms on that side. Good. Nice job. And then slowly release, bring it all the way back down, downward facing dog. Good. And then take the left leg up and back behind you. I know that can be a tricky transition if going from those poses is rough on the shoulder. It's a lot of, flipping around in there. Good. Step the left foot forward between the hands, please. Lunge. Drop the back heel. Baby toe parallels back of your mat. Warrior two. Cartwheel the arms up, shoulders over the hips. Good. Watching that the front knee is pointing towards second or third toe, so you have that wideness of the hip. Awesome, you guys. And then take the right hand down the back thigh, left palm spins up and back, reverse warrior. So pay attention here that you're not continuing to just squeeze everything behind the heart, because that constant squeezing is what sets our shoulders really out of balance. So you almost want to feel like you're hugging everything forward, right? Or that the hugging is coming from the armpits, not the arms themselves. Better way to put it. Good. Stay leaning to the back of your mat, straighten your left thigh, please. So even here, I notice in this position, it's easy to arch into your rib. So pull the low rib cage in. Bring your hands slightly forward towards the front of your face so that you're really getting side body stretch, but not that backwards pull. Good. Come all the way back up, arms wide. Good. Stretch both arms up alongside your ears with the legs straight. Interlace your fingers. Press the heels of the hands up towards the ceiling. So pull up through your side waist. Good. And then keeping that front knee again angled, pointing towards second or third toe. Lean your whole side body to the front of your mat like you're coming into triangle pose, but keep the arms alongside your ears, fingers interlaced, pressing out through the heels of the hands and pressing equally into that baby toe edge of the back leg, back foot. Good. So as you lean, you have to really get into this feeling of extending from your side waist, and then turn that right armpit open more. You got it, Virginia. Nice. Good, Mark. Nice, Harriet. Good, you guys. Bend your left knee, please. Let your left forearm come onto that thigh. Right arm stays over the ear, side angle. You could turn that palm to face down. Good. So again, the rib cage opens, but it's not the arm pulling backwards. It's your ribs. Beautiful. Nice, you guys. And then cartwheel the arms all the way back up to warrior two. Good. Straighten that front thigh again. Stretch the arms all the way back up alongside your ears. Right hand holds your left wrist. Lean to the back of your mat. So again, like you're doing that reverse triangle. Good. And then stay leaning, but bend your left knee. Come back into that reverse warrior two. Sometimes call it the humble warrior. Peaceful warrior, however you want to put it. Again, you define the existence or the experience for yourself. And then come all the way back up, please. Stretching the arms out wide. Good. Cartwheel the hands down to the floor, please. Nice. Spin your back heel up. Did I forget a triangle pose? I did. All right. Cartwheel the arms back up to warrior two. Straighten the left thigh, please. And then reach, extend through that left rib cage. Left hand finds the front leg floor, block right arm to the sky. I actually thought that I did the Prasarita Padottanasana, then came back to triangle, but that's all right. We'll do it this way. Abandon. Abandon whatever's not working. And it's a big one, right? Because even in our journey to, move through things or move past things is we can fall in love with the journey itself, right? We fall in love with the process of healing or the process of trying to move something. And so as much as we're trying to get somewhere, we're also dragging along behind us the thing that we're trying to resolve. And we think that they're tied together. So the real healing often begins when we sever that tie and we say, I give up. I just can't do that anymore. And then whatever comes after that, we stumble into. Bend that left knee, release the hands down to the floor, please. Good. Spin your back heel up, step back, downward facing dog. Good. And then slide forward to plank pose. Lower down slow, coming through knees first if you need. Good. Rise up, Cobra, lift head, neck, and chest. Again, finding that forward slide of the tops of your thighs. Nice. Good. And then release, please. Pressing back up onto hands and knees. Come back to child's pose. Knees wide, big toes together to touch. Good. Maybe making a pillow with your hands, elbows wide, dropping the forehead onto the hands. Of course, if having the arms extended feels better, do that. And find the breath in the back of the body. And contemplate all of those things that you are sure are the keys to your happiness, the things that you say, well, these are my favorites. I would never want to give these up. Whatever they are, the things, the people. And just have the acknowledgement to yourself that all those things do not have the power to make you happy. Nor are they going to stay the same as they are at this moment. This is the abandonment, right? I abandon my attachment to the way things are, or the way I think things are, the way I want things to be. And in that abandonment, I become truly open to the way things are, truly open to knowing that it is only through your own exploration, your own inner experience, that there is bliss, that there is ongoing peace. Well, contemplate, what would you have to give up to be truly free? And if we're honest, it means everything. And that's our challenge, is being honest. So the Buddhists say, don't rush to try and make it all happen and then get mad at yourself when you can't do it. But at least acknowledge. At least have a little part of you that says, I know I'm attached. I know that I'm hoping that this situation or person or thing will never change. Just know it. And that's the first step in being able to abandon the attachment that keeps us painfully stuck. Walk yourself back up onto hands and knees. Good. Come back, downward facing dog. And take your right leg up and back behind you, down dog split. Good, bring that knee forward towards your nose. So the armpits come forward, squeeze in. And then send that leg out wide to your left. So underneath that left wrist or behind the left wrist. Yep. So you're on the baby toe edge of that foot. Drop your left foot to flat, left heel to flat, and then take that left arm up to the sky. So you're pressing into both feet, using the legs, lift the hips up and open, left arm up. There you go. Good. So the right leg is underneath you, left arm to the sky. So it's like a little twisted Vasisthasana. Good. Nice, you guys. And then unwind it, please, pulling that right knee all the way back and in. Send it up and back behind you, down dog split. Nice. And then step that foot forward between the hands, lunge. Good. Back heel comes flat, baby toe parallels back of your mat. Take both hands inside the front foot and then bring that right forearm up against your right shin. Take the left arm up to the sky. So a side angle variation. You can use a block underneath that right hand if you need, but press the forearm up against the shin, squeeze the shin against the forearm. Good. And then practice that opening through the left rib cage. Nice. And then optional, turn your left palm to face backwards here, bend the elbow, reach around for the bind on that side. So reaching for the outer edge of your right hip. Good. If you want to go for the full bind, drop that right shoulder just a little lower and then wrap the right arm underneath the right thigh, trying to find that left hand. Good. And then still try and turn your left rib cage open towards the sky. Power up that back leg. Awesome. Unwind the arms really good, everybody. Good. Slide that right hand forward in front of you, left hand to your left hip. Come into Artha Chandrasana because, of course, your legs aren't done yet. Left hip stacks on top of right, toes turned to the side. Turn your ribs open. And then again, lifting that left arm up to the ceiling if you'd like, or stay with the hand at the hip. Good. Feel as though you are squeezing the legs towards each other. So you have this sensation of pushing down to that standing leg, but also pulling the hip up. Good. So maybe you can feel, again, pulling the arms in, that you can hover that right hand up off the floor. Good. Maybe just getting lighter in your fingertips. Awesome. Really good, Harriet. Nice, Virginia. Good. Laura, you got it. Good. Release that hand back down to the floor, please. Step your left foot back. Good. Unwind your pose back to downward facing dog. Nice job. Vinyasa, if you'd like, child's pose if you prefer. Good. Or you can hang out in dog if you'd like. If you're moving through the vinyasa, forward to plank, down to your belly, rising up cobra. Again, not a pushing the hips into the floor, but a really engaging through the middle back. Good. And then find your way back to downward facing dog as you are ready. Good. Left leg up and back behind you, down dog split. Good. Bring the knee forward towards your nose, rounding into your ribs. Good. And then send that leg out wide to the right. So straightening behind the right wrist, baby toe edge of the foot on the floor. Take your right heel flat and then the right arm up to the sky. So again, you're opening the hips, opening the chest here. You still have to pull up through that left arm. So again, if you push your chest forward here, you're going to lock into that shoulder. So you have to actually move your rib cage back, round into it first. Then you can open more. Good. Nice, you guys. One more breath, lifting the hips. Really good. And then slowly unwind, pulling up as you come back and out. Otherwise, again, that supporting arm and shoulder are going to get yanked on. Nice. Left leg up and back behind you. Good. And then step that foot forward between the hands, lunge. Drop the back heel, baby toe parallels back of your mat. Both hands inside the front foot. Good. Plant that left hand inside the left foot, forearm pressing up against the shin, right arm up to the sky. Good. So a side angle variation, again, focusing on, can you draw your low rib cage in, stay really full in your middle back, lower back, and then find that rotation on your rib cage that's also going to ask your right outer hip to open a little bit more. Good. And then any version of a bind here, so you can turn the right palm back, bend the elbow, reach around to find the outer left hip. That's a nice place to stay. If you want to go for the full bind, drop your left shoulder inside the front knee a little bit deeper, and then reach around underneath the thigh to try and find that right hand. Again, you could always use a strap here if you have one handy. Try to keep your knee pointing forward. Absolutely keep your knee pointing forward. and continue to try and stack that right rib cage on top of the left. Nice, Mark. Really good. Nice, Harriet. Good, Marla. Good, Laura. Good, Virginia. Nice, everybody. Unwind yourself, please. Good. Take that right hand to your right hip. Gaze down towards the floor. Left hand slides forward, Artha Chandrasana. So send your weight forward onto the left heel, left hand. Right hip stacks, toes turn to the side. Flex that foot a lot. So again, there's a lot of energy in that leg. Good. Nice, you guys. Then you can take that right arm reaching to the sky if you'd like, or keep it at the hip, whatever feels like it gives you more support. And then squeeze the feet towards each other. So it feels like, again, that energy of the legs is actually holding you steady. And then see if you can get lighter, pulling up through the pelvis, maybe getting lighter on your left hand, maybe even taking the left fingertips off of the floor or off of your blocks, a little hovering. Nice, Virginia. Good, Laura. Beautiful. And then release the hand back down, please. Step yourself all the way back. Come back to downward facing dog. Excellent. Good. Look forward between the hands, please. Step or jump your feet to the top of your mat. Good. Straighten the legs, forward fold, Uttanasana. Good. Feet underneath the hips, bend your knees, drop your seat low, take the arms up alongside your ears, chair pose, Utkatasana. Sometimes referred to as awkward chair, sometimes translated as fierce. Take your hands to your heart center, please. Good. Right elbow to the outside of your left knee, please. Prayer twist. Twisting to your left. There you go. Good. Dropping the hips nice and low, lifting up through the heart. All right. So the fierceness is what is suggested, that we have to have this, willingness, this strength in order to do things like abandon fruition, let go of our attachments. Come back to center, please. Twist the other way. So the fierceness is not a harshness. It's not an aggression. But it's the moment where you believe in something so much, or where you're so willing to get past where you are, that you say, yeah, I will give up. I'm willing to give up if that's what it means to be free. So it's our resolve, fierce resolve. Come back to center, please. Release the hands to the floor, straighten the legs and bow. And that fierce resolve, when it comes from love and not fear, is something that, again, carries us over that edge of what it means to give up and what it means to surrender. Good. Separate the feet a little wider here. Good. So as wide as your mat, toes facing straight ahead. And then bend your knees, drop your thighs parallel to the floor. So take your butt back. Good. And then start to walk your hands back between the feet. So you're sliding your shoulders inside the knees. You can bring your hands all the way back to hold the back of your heels. Good. Dropping the butt just parallel to the floor. So no lower than that, but no weight on the hands, right? So everything's being held with the legs, chest up. You got it, like a little weird bug. Awesome. And then for some of you, if you can plant your hands comfortably here on the floor behind your heels or between your heels, is you can let the thighs really touch to the back of the arms, bend your elbows just a little bit like chaturanga arms, and then start to wiggle your feet forward, squeeze in. So round your back, pull your hips slightly higher, and then see if you can lift your feet off of the floor, hooking your feet in front of you. So you're balancing, squeezing the arms with your legs. So if your butt comes too low, this gets a lot harder. So you got to keep your butt lifted. Yep. Good. Yeah, your butt can't come lower than parallel to the floor. Otherwise, this becomes a lot harder. Keep your butt up. There you go. I know, play with it. Even if you're like, I have no idea what she's talking about, try. Good. And then slowly release. Take your hips back up to the sky. Unwind the arms. Nice job. Good. Bring the feet back together, please. Big toes and inner heels to touch. Come up on your tippy toes, so rise up. And then on your tippy toes, bend your knees, let your knees go wide into a little frog squat. So hips drop to your heels, knees wide. Good. And then walk your hands forward again, shoulders between the knees, hips dropping to your heels. Good. Nice. So you're walking the hands straight forward. So you're in like a forward fold, and then start to let your heels drop down towards the floor. So like you're going to let them come flat if they're able. Probably they aren't. Don't worry about it. But just let them move back. Hips move back. Good. And then you can either stay here or again, go for the little bind where you walk your hands back in, keep your elbows in front of your knees, upper arms in front of your knees, and then slide your hands back behind your heels. So you're holding hands behind your heels. So your knees hug into your outer ribs and your arms hug the front of your shins. Yep. And if you have no idea what the heck I'm talking about, just stay where you are. Good. One more breath where you are, dropping the heels, dropping the hips. And then slowly walk your hands back out. Come on down gracefully to sit, unless you already did a fabulous collapse onto your butt. Good. Stretch your legs out nice and wide, straddle. Nice, you guys. Nice and wide. Turn your belly towards your right thigh, please. Then walk yourself straight ahead over the right leg. Keep your feet awake. Good. The idea that we let go of the story in our mind of what everything means, and instead we let ourselves actually go into the full experience of who and what we are. And that's a hard thing, right? It's why we practice for years and years and years and maybe feel like we sort of get somewhere, but maybe not ever really get anywhere. Because we're still in the story of it. We're still in the story of this is who I am and this is what I do and this is my place in the world. And it's a beautiful story. I love the story. Walk yourself all the way back up. That's the problem, is we love the story so much. Turn yourself towards the left leg. Good. Sit up nice and tall. So again, before you come forward, there's a length to your spine. And then walk yourself straight ahead, turning through the low, deepest part of your waist, deepest part of your belly, you turn. And keep that right sit bone rooted to the floor. Good. So as long as we are in love with this story that we have about who we are and what we're supposed to be, as long as we're attached to that, we're stuck. Right? Maybe we do a good job of arranging the things that we are attached to in a way that is pretty comfortable most of the time. But eventually, those attachments will become a source of pain. So what do? There's no amount of surrender saying, I will give all of these things away as long as I know the bigness that I'm arriving into, as long as I know what it is, as long as I'm in control of that, I will let these things go. That's part of our story. Maybe it's just me that's what surrender ends up often becoming. But just that subtle switch of language of, instead of surrender, just give up. Right? Notice where you are pouring energy into those attachments. Notice how much you are telling yourself the story, as beautiful as it is. And start to see what is beyond that, what's happening inside of you beyond that, what's happening outside of you beyond that, how much more there is. And as soon as we acknowledge we're not in control of any of it, we start to become a little bit more free. Walk yourself all the way back up. Good. Bend both knees, please. Bring the bottoms of your feet together. Good. If you're sitting up on a blanket, come off of the blanket because I want you to be able to balance on your sit bones. Good. So just lift the knees a little higher, come up on the tippy toes of your feet, reach for your ankles. Good. And lift the feet up off the floor. So balancing on the sit bones, knees in Baddha Konasana. So knees still wide, Mark. Good. So hold the ankles, knees wide. Good. Bring your elbows inside your knees, Mark. Way easier. There you go. Good. So find your balance and then start to stretch the legs out wide again to that straddle. So you're balancing on your sit bones, coming as much as you can to the straight legs. Good. Keep your chest up and your sit bones drawing back and wide. So if you're rolling all the way back onto the fleshy part of your butt, try to stay forward. I know. Good. Knees can be a little bit bent, but keep your chest up. Good. Nice, Virginia. Really good, Marla. Good, Mark. Good, Laura. Good, Harriet. One more breath. Stretch your arms to the sky. Hold your legs where they are. No hands. Go. Yes. Yes. And then release, bend the knees, back to Baddha Konasana, drop the feet, forward fold, forward fold. I know if you don't do stuff like this for yourself just because it's fun, why not? What are you doing? What else are you doing in your day except stuff like that? Right? Balance on your sit bones at least once a day. Good. And then walk yourself all the way back up again. Nice job. Good. Scoot yourself forward, please. Come all the way onto your backs. Yep. Onto your backs, onto your backs. Good. Bending your knees, planting your feet, please. Good. Come into bridge pose. So bend the elbows into robot arms if you'd like, or keep the arms straight. Good. And then pressing into your feet. So similar to the way pressing into your arms in Cobra, I want you to feel that engagement of the back muscles. Do it here. So press into the arms, feel the armpit muscles again engage. But at the same time as you press into your feet, I want you to feel your glutes engage, your butt muscles. So that doesn't mean squeeze your butt towards your tail, but it means contract right side, left side. Right? So feel the engagement of the backs of the legs into your butt, and then start to rise up from the back of your heart, come all the way up into bridge. Feeling again that squeeze from below that rises up. Good. So it's not a pushing from below, but it's a squeezing. Good, you guys. And then pressing into that left foot, please take your right leg up to the sky. So straight leg, press up through the heel. Good, get taller. That's it. And then release the right foot down to the floor. Take the left leg up. Good. And then place it down to the floor. Come up on the tippy toes of both feet, please. Take your hands to your lower back as though you were going to come into shoulder stand. Good. So just up on your tippy toes, hands to your lower spine. Again, lifting as tall as you can, finding that top ridge of your shoulders, pressing down into it and widening so that there's that spaciousness for your neck. And then we could say, again, if it feels like it's an easy thing for you to do here, you can absolutely, holding the hips here, kick your legs up into shoulder stand. If that feels like a bad idea, stay where you are. Good. Nice. You got it, Harriet. Almost. Good. Don't struggle with it too much. You got to keep your shoulders really connected to the floor. Good. You guys slowly release, please. Good. That is a hard transition. It's not a simple one. So if you're like, my God, I understand. Did it on purpose. Slowly release, please. Hips all the way down to the floor. So if you didn't make it into shoulder stand, that's okay. Good. Pause for another breath. And then stretch your legs straight out in front of you, please. Walk your feet to the bottom right-hand corner of your mat. Cross one ankle. Take your arms to the upper right-hand corner of your mat. Reach for opposite elbows or wrists. And breathing into the side waist. You are the only one who is able to experience the magnificence of your existence. No one else can do it. And the magnificence of your existence includes those moments where you have incredible success. You get exactly what you were aiming for. And it includes the moments where you fall a little bit short or you're not the one who wins the race, but you can see the magnificence of the people who did. And it includes those moments where you know that the greatest achievement that you can do in that moment is to step away and say, I have to give up. And that's maybe the hardest place to be because it brings us right up against that disappointment that the story we've been telling ourselves has to include failure. It has to include that feeling of letting go, really letting go, and how painful that is, right? We think surrender is going to be this, beautiful process, and it is. Because we think on the other side of what we don't want is something great that we do want. And that's part of the story of attachment again. If I surrender to something I like, I can let go of what I don't like. How about you surrender to what's out of your control, which is everything. And in that not knowing and saying, I'm just going to give up on what I know causes pain, we start to become a little bit more free. Walk yourself back to center. Please pause for a moment. Arms wide, legs wide, big letter X. And then take yourself the other way. Bring the legs to the bottom left-hand corner of your mat, crossing one ankle over the other. Shoulders, upper body leans to the upper left-hand corner. Again, holding opposite wrists or elbows. So to abandon all hope of fruition means that we have to acknowledge that we've been telling ourselves a story the entire time, even from the moment we stepped onto our mat to practice yoga and we said, no, really, I'm going to change something. We're telling ourselves a story. And that's okay, as long as you know that you're telling yourself a story. As long as you know that there is still something that is so far beyond what you are sure is the key to your happiness. If it's something outside of you, as long as you know that that's a story, an attachment, you're on the right track. The only way to know that deep core of bliss and love is for you to really feel it. And to really feel it means we have to abandon everything else that we have put in its place. So think of it as surrender. If you'd like, you're giving it back. You're letting yourself fall into whatever you imagine that unconditional and complete source of love is. But realize that what it is beyond your comprehension. You can't imagine it properly. So be willing to fall into it through those painful moments of I let go, I give up. And whatever rises up in those moments when I release my grip, that's the fullness of that love. And it's beyond, guaranteed, what you imagine it to be. But the only way to know it is to know it. No one can tell you. Come back to center, please. Pause for a moment, arms wide, legs wide. Big letter X. And then slowly bring everything back in, curl into a ball, please, knees in towards your chest. Squeeze the knees, bring your forehead up, hug. Squeeze in. And then slowly unwind, releasing the arms, releasing the legs. If you feel you need a final spinal twist, go ahead and take it. Otherwise, let yourself relax into your Shavasana. Letting the feet drop open, letting the hands drop open. And maybe if you remember whatever your laundry list of attachments were, the things that you love and the things that you fear, whatever you think is required for your happiness. Consider the thought, entertain the thought that you can give up on that. You can love those things and know that your happiness is not connected to them. So as you breathe, you imagine that you are breathing the experience of bliss, where all things, success and failure, are included. Very gently bring the awareness back to your breath. Let your body begin to stretch and move in whatever ways serve it well. And as you are ready, bring your knees in towards your chest and roll to your right side. And take a moment there before you begin to push the floor away. Come back to an upright seated position. Bring the hands together in front of the heart center, palm to palm. So what is underneath all of these types of teachings, whether it's in the yogic tradition, the Buddhist tradition, they're very much intertwined or very similar, is that when we talk about surrender or we talk about giving up, is that the reminder is that you're not losing anything except potential pain. You're not releasing anything that is fundamental to you because you can't. By letting go of those external things is we start to discover what is truly internally fundamental to who we are, that is unchanging, that is unconditional, because we've removed all of the conditions that we thought were the reasons we were happy or unhappy. So we start to tap into that really primal kind of energetic self, or that really primal fundamental energy that is us. And in that, we're able to really feel everything that we are. And you are the only one that can do it. So we practice to move away from all of those attachments, move away from all of those things that we are sure is what we need in order to be happy. We abandon it. Stop feeding it. Be aware of the story. And you start to become increasingly aware of what is beyond it. And that is what is unchanging, unconditioned, infinite. So this is what we do. Abandon, let go, give up. Don't make it a pretty story in your mind. It'll be painful. But beyond that is an experience of wholeness that we cannot imagine. And that's the key. Is when you feel it, you're not imagining it. When you feel it, you realize you are it. Whole point of yoga. So you and me, step one, realize we're telling ourselves a story. We'll go from there. Deep breath in for the sound of Om. Sliding the thumbs up to the space between the eyebrows. Namaste. Thank you guys so much. Have a great rest of your day, great rest of your weekend until I see you again. I'm sure there's things I'm supposed to tell you about, but I can't think of them. So
it just amazes me. It amazes me after all this time, there was still a pose in there I'd never done with you before. Like after all these years, you still come up with new things.
Seriously? Which one? That arm balance?
No. When we were on our like bridge, but up on our toe. What were we doing up on our
toes? Yep. Bridge up on the toes with the transition to shoulder stand. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. It's not a common one because it's not easy to do. So, you know.
Yeah, it's just amazing. Thank you. Thank you.
Don't worry. I've got more things tucked in my pockets. So stick with me.
Harriet, can I give you my telephone number so you can send me that picture? I want to see.